Hello trader, welcome back to another weekly forex forecast. We can see that gold started to trend aggressively and the candle close past weekly was pretty bullish. This week, is the market going to create an all-time high or coming for deeper pullback? In this weekly forex forecast, we will try to answer this question. As we can see, the market is trending and we might find potential entry opportunity with the market open. Along with also DXY, we can see that there is a trend in this instrument. DXY from the weekly, after a stronger liquidity grab from this doji, the market is currently trending again. So we can expect also significant movement on DXY. So let's begin with DXY, and also I will be looking at British Pound US Dollar, Euro Dollar, Dollar CAD, AUDUSD, XAUUSD, dollar yen, and GBPJPY. Now this week also there is a significant move in the beginning on JPY, coming up quite a few high impact news. So before I progress further with this weekly forex forecast, traders, make sure you give a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. So let's begin with monthly chart to see overall picture in this market. First, let's look at the monthly chart to see overall direction in this market. So looking at DXY monthly, we can see that we have seen in the past there was a break of resistance line here on the monthly, and from that liquidity grab, the market started to trend bearish, and we have seen that with that monthly stronger impulse back towards the downside on DXY. It completely has broken this very significant long-term support level here, and followed by previous months we saw a doji. Now as this month, if we look at the high of this monthly candlestick pattern, we can see that there is no wick at the top. That means the sellers were stronger, the buyers couldn't make any effort to create any long wick at the top. So therefore DXY may continue to drop here to create a new lower low. Now if we look at the weekly chart here, we can see that from the weekly, this is a downtrending market structure where there is a head, right shoulder, and the left shoulder, head and shoulder formation, break below, pullback, another drop, pullback. The market is forming series of lower high and lower low, which is in a downtrending market structure here. Now what we can see here last week, a candlestick pattern that quite significant. If we look at the high of this weekly candle, we can see the market tested this high and then has got strongly rejected back towards the downside with a full body red, and this candle has grabbed the liquidity from here, which might keep a couple of weekly bearish candle in that direction. What I think the price may continue to drop here to create a new lower low. So monthly, weekly, DXY showing possibility for further drop. Now if we look at the daily chart, what we can see, that daily price action, the market was respecting this daily 10 EMA. There is an important point that we can look at is whenever the price breaking this daily high, forming that long wick candlestick pattern, that's the sign that there has been selling pressure, and as a result we saw that there was a break of structure completely to this support level, followed by last day of trading week, a long wick daily candlestick pattern. Now this daily candle, for me, what I think, it's potentially bearish, as if you guys look at, you can see the market has broken above to this resistance where there is a liquidity and the market formed that long wick. So there is a selling pressure here as well, and it's a falling market. So if we look at this daily drop, pullback, and we can expect another drop. So therefore if we look at the intraday time frame from 4-hour perspective here, we see there is a head and shoulder formation in that area, and the price has crossed this high here, and this is, if we look at the 4-hour bearish engulfer, which is an important liquidity zone, and the market crossed that high and closed as a long bear candle, which is giving a DXY a high probability for further downside here. So as soon as we will find suitable entry in this market, we will be looking for selling with a high probability trade setup. Now let's look at British pound US dollar. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have, looking at the monthly chart to see overall picture in this market. Now, as we have seen that DXY, we are expecting this market to remain bearish. British pound US dollar, we can expect a mirror effect on this instrument. As we can see, there is a monthly candle formation with a gap open. Initially from this support level, we have seen a bounce and now on a pullback, and I think the market still could remain bullish. And if we look at this week, pretty packed with GBP news as well, so this market, this instrument may remain bullish this week as well. From the monthly, if we look at the weekly chart here, we can see that from the weekly, quite a few weeks series of higher low formation. And the trend, as this is the most important zone that we need to look at, the trend, we can see that an impulse from the weekly, correction, impulse, correction, and we can see it is in another impulsive phase. Now, if we closely look at the past 3 weeks candlestick pattern, we can see the market is maintaining that series of higher low, and which is could potentially remain bullish to the upside to create a new higher high. Now, dropping down to the daily chart here, we can see that from the daily, this is the daily price action where the market was respecting this 10 EMA and breaking above, coming back to, we have seen a 20 EMA retest and then rejected back again. Now, last day of trading week, we saw a pretty volatile drop against the trend and crossed that daily low, form a long week candle. So this is a very important liquidity zone. As if you closely look at it, you can see that there is a bull flag here on the daily time frame here, and the market has broken from the upside from this bull flag, has come back again, retested from a long week candle, which is a sign the market may potentially remain again bullish here from the lower time frame. Now, looking at the intraday perspective here from the 4-hour chart here on British pound US dollar, we can see that this is a significant level of support, getting a rejection here, and with that rejection here from the 4-hour chart on British pound US dollar, expecting that this market potentially to give us a lower time frame pullback, and that's where we can look for potential entry opportunity in this market. So now let's look at euro dollar. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we might have. Looking at monthly, now we see that euro dollar is just the mirror of DXY, as it's very resemble. Now, if we look at the monthly price action, we see a monthly bullish doji. Now this month the market opened with a gap. So the way this candlestick pattern formed from the monthly, what I think that this monthly candle could still remain bullish, and we even may see that before the monthly close, the price not coming here, as there is a stronger bullish pressure here. So if we look at the weekly chart, we can see that from the weekly also showing stronger bullish uptrending market structure here. We can see an impulse correction, impulse deeper correction to the 10 EMA, and the market is forming series of higher low here from the weekly perspective, and we can see the price is forming series of higher low every week. The market forming series of higher low, which is a sign that the price may continue to rise here to create a new higher high in this market. Now, looking at the daily chart, we can see that euro dollar is stronger than even British pound US dollar. We can see that euro dollar respecting this 10 EMA from the daily, whenever breaking below, getting that rejection. So we see that this is the daily impulse on euro dollar, followed by a pullback. Last day of trading week, we saw a daily doji formation. Now with the daily doji, what we can expect on euro dollar for the market after initial pullback to remain bullish here to create a new higher high in this market. So looking at the intraday perspective here, we can see that this is maintaining that uptrending market structure. Any pullback in this market in that area can give us possible entry opportunity. As soon as we will find suitable entry, we will be looking for going long with a high probability trade setup. Now let's look at dollar CAD. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have in this instrument. Now looking at monthly chart on dollar CAD, we can see that from the monthly, this is monthly drop from this level, a pretty strong drop here on the monthly perspective on dollar CAD, and the price almost coming back to this monthly low. And if we look at this impulse here on the monthly, we can see that it's a pretty sharp breakdown, and as the price has dropped that far, highly likely we could see a potential retest of this monthly support before it bounce back up or even breaking below further. If we look at the weekly chart here, we can see that dollar CAD from the weekly form a candlestick pattern that has a long wick at the top and with a healthy body in it, with a series of lower high formation from the weekly. And with that series of lower high, what we can see that from the weekly perspective here on dollar CAD, expecting for this market to trend back down here to this support level to create a new lower low. Now if we look at the daily chart, what we can see that from the daily, this is the daily price action where the market tested the daily 10 EMA and has broken below, again has gone back to the daily 10 EMA, has broken below. So respecting this daily 10 EMA from the daily time frame, expecting dollar CAD to remain bearish here to create a new lower low. So looking at the 4-hour chart here on dollar CAD, you can see that in this lower time frame, the price was respecting this 20 EMA whenever it's crossing that high, getting the rejection, giving a very high probability for dollar CAD potentially to remain bearish here. So as soon as we will find on the lower time frame on dollar CAD, what I think we could find potential selling opportunity in that area after the market open, after initial pullback, we can look for going sell with a high probability trade setup. Now let's look at AUDUSD. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we may have in AUDUSD. Looking at the monthly on, we can see that this instrument from the monthly, there is a monthly doji formation, followed by this month the price open with a gap and initial bounce. So that bounce giving a probability that the market to remain biased in that direction, because already has made a move, pullback, and we might see another move back to the upside on the monthly on AUDUSD. Dropping down to the weekly, we can see a little clearer picture here. If we look at this zone here, we can see that it's a bullish area, stronger bullish candle, narrow red candle, stronger bullish candle, narrow red candle, giving a probability for AUDUSD to remain bullish this week as well. The weekly candle closed with a doji, and that has given a probability for AUDUSD to remain bullish in this market. So looking at daily chart here, we can see that from the daily, there is a daily drop here with a big long wick rejection from the bottom. And if we look at AUDUSD, this daily candle is almost more than 1 ATR, and I think it's almost 1.5 ATR candle. That's a very stronger rejection, giving AUDUSD to potentially bounce back up again in the major direction of the trend. So if we look at the intraday here, we can see that there was a break of structure and then double bottom formation with a bullish engulfer, forming a possibility that this market to bounce back up to the upside. So this is where, as soon as we find suitable entry on AUDUSD, we'll be looking for going long with a high probability trade setup. Now let's look at XAUUSD. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we might have in this instrument. Looking at monthly, and we can see that from the monthly, it is currently bullish. And as you can see that this instrument, what I think may potentially to create another all-time high due to different kind of event happening around the world. Gold is always remain volatile because of that reason. And this week, what I think this instrument may try to break this potentially monthly high, as we can see that 3500 is an all-time high. We could see potentially to test that level or even break that high. There's a gap open with a monthly doji previous months, expecting for the market potentially to go back up to create a new higher high. If we look at the weekly chart here, we can see that there is a weekly a bullish candlestick pattern. Now if we look at the low of this weekly candle, we can see that it's a high liquidity zone. From this doji form a bullish candle. Now this price action is highly bullish. Now if we look at this zone here, we can see there was a consolidation from the weekly, and that consolidation also has given a momentum. As if we look at here the overall picture on the weekly, a move correction, followed by a stronger consolidation with an inverted head and shoulder formation, breakout from that inverted head and shoulder with a bullish engulfer. And if we look at the low of this weekly candle, we see a narrow wick which has liquidity and volume in this candle, giving a high probability that XAUUSD may potentially creating a couple of longer wicks, longer candle at the top. And as 3500 is all-time high, what I think this week, if the market open with a gap, even we might see a stronger breakout in this instrument. Now looking at daily chart here on gold, you can see that from the daily, this is where the price tested the 10 and 20 EMA, bounced back to the upside, pullback, and again we can see the market is maintaining that bullish market structure with a test of 10 and 20 EMA, and expecting XAUUSD potentially to remain bullish here to create a new higher high. So from the daily, we saw there was a liquidity grab, a big bounce, pullback, liquidity grab, another bounce, pullback, and it is maintaining a typical bullish market structure, and we might see the price to potentially to go back up to create a new higher high. So looking at the 1 hour chart here on XAUUSD, we can see that this is 1 hour price action where the market tested 10 EMA multiple times. If we look at from here, and last day of trading week, we saw a series of higher low here with a stronger pressure on this resistance line. So this series of higher low is signaling potential break of this resistance, the lower time frame. And what I think, as there will be new weekly and daily open, there might be a liquidity gap here, which is highly likely. And what I think, the price even may open with a gap down and potentially to continue to rise here to the major direction of the trend. So here we'll be waiting for this potential liquidity gap, because when you see this kind of structure, highly likely it needs a stronger liquidity. And if we see the market has done that, has grabbed the liquidity, prepare for another bounce, we can look for potential bullish opportunity for this move back to the upside to create a new higher high. So this is where my eye will be with the market open. As soon as we will find suitable entry, we will be looking for going long with a high probability trade setup. Now let's look at dollar yen. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have in this instrument. Looking at the monthly chart on dollar yen, we can see that from the monthly, this is the monthly price action. From here, there's a pretty strong drop here on the monthly, and previous months we saw that there was a long weak candle. Now this month so far, as we see that weakness on dollar and also weakness on yen, both of this giving this instrument not much volatility, but to range in a narrow zone. And if we look at the weekly chart here now, we can see that still from the weekly we see bearish price action, as we can see that this is a bear market for long term. And from the weekly, after this weekly back-to-back two narrow candle, this week we can see that from the weekly perspective here on dollar yen, from this resistance line form a long weak candle. I'm expecting dollar yen to potentially to remain bearish here. Now if we look at the daily chart on dollar yen, we can see that from the daily time frame, there is a daily long weak candle followed by another daily drop. And last day of trading week, we saw a rejection back to the upside here. Now this daily dodge candlestick pattern that we can see, this rejection to the upside is in fact a potential for further drop here, as we can see that it's a falling market. The market last day of trading week has push back to the upside, tested this neckline of this previous support and resistance here. Now looking at the 4-hour chart here, we can see that from this level here, this is an impulse to the upside, tested the support here as a resistance, and with that being said, expecting dollar yen to trend to the downside to create a new lower low in this market. So this is where, as soon as we will find suitable entry on dollar yen, we'll be looking for selling with a high probability trade setup. Now let's look at GBPJPY, and we can see that with the dollar yen we are expecting bearish, while we can see that GBPJPY showing a possible bullish market structure in this instrument. Now looking at monthly here on GJ, we can see that from the monthly, this is the monthly long wick here, followed by a bullish candle, followed by another bullish price action on GJ, expecting to remain bullish here for long-term picture. If we look at the weekly chart here on GJ, we can see that previous week a pretty strong bullish engulfer. Now this week the candle closed with a long wick doji, which is also sign of bullish continuation. As the market is maintaining that series of higher low, we could see this market to potentially remain back to the upside to create a new higher high. Now looking at the daily chart here on GBPJPY, we can see that from the daily, this is bull market where there is an impulse correction, another impulse correction, and we can see this market is maintaining that series of higher high and higher low, which a daily bullish engulfer. The prices crossed the 10 and 20 EMA with a sharp rejection to the upside, and we may see what I think the market to potentially remain bullish here. So from the intraday perspective here, from the 4-hour chart, we can see that there is a breakout structure in that direction, and with that breakout structure, the price has crossed that low with a big impulse to the upside, giving a very high probability for GBPUSD, GBPJPY for this market to potentially trend, retest, and then to revert back again in the major direction of the trend. So as soon as we will find suitable price action confirmation, we will be looking for going long with a high probability trade setup. Traders, if you enjoyed this education and analysis for this week, make sure you give a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. Thank you, and I'll see you soon in my next analysis.